Okay, friends, in these conversations that I've been having with people, I've been focusing a lot, obviously, on just academia and how everybody is dealing with this. But I've really been talking to a lot of faculty, what they're doing, how they're dealing with this, and I've always been asking what their message is for their students or for students at other places or just for humanity as a whole. And so I really wanted to have a conversation with someone from the student side, right, as to how they're dealing with this, and what things that maybe faculty should keep in mind and what things that other students should keep in mind, again, because we are all in this together. And so I'm very lucky to be joined by one of my former students, one of my favorite students, and somebody who just continues to inspire me as a student. She's a leader on campus. She's an RA. She's involved with this thing called LTC, and I'm going to let her explain all of that. But I'm really excited to hear this perspective, and hopefully it'll just help carry the message that I've been trying to really convey through these conversations. So let's see if we can get it started. Okay, it looks like we're all set. So, hi, Katie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I was just telling in my little preamble here about how you're one of my favorite students and someone who continues to inspire me, with all the things that you do for your fellow students on campus and for all the feedback you give to faculty and administration. And so I didn't want to, I know that I couldn't tell the story right. So I wanted you to be able to introduce yourself, but let me just say that I'm very happy to be with, again, one of my favorite students, Katie Everton. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and all the various thousand things that you do on campus?
Thank you so much, first of all. That was so sweet. So my name's Katie Everton. I'm a junior in the physical therapy program, and I work with a number of clubs on campus. So this year I did vagina monologues for the first time, which was incredible. Loved it. I am on the executive board for the Leadership Training Conference, and this is my 4th year doing it, and last year, so sad, but it's been like my favorite part of campus. Absolutely. It is a wonderful, wonderful conference every year. And I'm also the Vice President of Academic Affairs for Student Government. So I work with like Martha Potvin on different academic things like that. Let's see, I'm also an RA on campus. So next year I'll be in the suites.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a lot. And you're also a very, aside from being engaged in all those things, I mean, you, you have a good GPA, you're in a very intensive program, right? 3 years and then straight into graduate school.
Right. This summer will be my first graduate semester.
Awesome. So so you're in the physical therapy program. Let me ask you, what got you interested in that as not something just to study, but as a potential career path?
So my grandma actually went through physical therapy a little bit, and she really liked her physical therapist. And my ex-boyfriend as well was a physical therapy major. So he was a little bit older than me, so I saw him go through the UMass Lowell program a little bit, and I just thought it was so cool, like how he knew so much about anatomy. I loved my anatomy class in high school. My science teachers in high school were incredible, like very, very incredible. And I also had friends who were interested in it as well. So I just did some research. I found Springfield's program, toured the campus, fell in love. And the program itself, like everyone who works, like the professors in the program are incredible. So it just felt like a really good fit. And then my grandma would go to her physical therapy like meetings and would talk about how her granddaughter was in physical therapy school now. So it
That's
was really,
awesome.
yeah, it was really
That's really cool. So, and if you ever have time for it outside of all these things that you do, what do you do for fun?
I am an artist at heart. Like I love art with all my heart and soul. So I paint, I do watercolor painting, and I've actually been making macrame since quarantine started. So that's been really, really fun.
What's a macrame?
It's like I don't know if you can see this thing right here.
Okay.
It's like a little wall hanging made of like cotton cord. So they're like really fun to make. Yeah.
Awesome. I say I'm not an artist, and, not used to that terminology. Okay, so all right, so here we are. It's your last year of undergrad, right?
Yeah.
World is cruising, right? You got all these things going on. Then all of a sudden, we, not just us at Springfield College, but every college as a whole, we get thrust into this very strange environment, right? How are you personally dealing with it, and what are some of the struggles that you're facing?
Right. So I would say overall, I'm doing pretty well. I am someone who really likes to be busy. So it was tough at first. But I always find new things to try out. So like I said, like I love making those macrame wall hangings. They are time consuming, and learning new knots and stuff. It's just like, it's a way for me to be creative, but also kind of shut my brain off at the same time. And that was really great over spring break, especially when like we didn't have classes going on. That was something that I really enjoyed like learning to do. Me and my mom have been cooking a lot together as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I make her breakfast every morning, and then usually we cook dinner together. So we've made a lot of new things. Today we made cookies at 11 in the morning. That was great.
It's a good lunch, right?
Perfect. My dad's working from home, so me and my mom like to take care of the cooking so that he's not too stressed out, because he's like really, really working so hard. So we made, like the other day, we made a sweet potato, like coconut milk soup thing, and it was delicious. It was so good. So we're finding new recipes, trying to get creative in the kitchen. The biggest struggle, I would say, is that like I had construction going on in my house. Like my parents decided to do a home renovation project like right before this all started. So just bad timing. We got some flooring put in one of the rooms, and like a few other things. So it's just been kind of loud at certain parts. Like I can't sleep in really because I'll wake up to like some hammering, which
Right.
is fun. But definitely like through Zoom classes, some of them I did outside because it was just a little too loud in the house. So that's kind of frustrating, like not having my house as like my own house all the time. So that's
Yeah.
definitely been the hardest part, but it's almost done. So
Okay. Well, that's good. So it's great that you're handling this, and obviously there's like 15 other challenges like the home construction that you mentioned. As a leader on campus, what are some of the things that you hear other students might be struggling with?
So I know a few people also had construction going on, I guess just that time of year. I don't know.
Well, it's so my house, luckily we don't have any construction, but a lot of our friends too. This is the time people want to get projects done before summer, though, so they can enjoy it in the summer. And yeah,
Yeah,
go figure,
bad
right?
timing, bad timing. But I get it. So that's definitely been hard for some people as well as just like poor internet connection from a few people I've heard. Even one of my professors even had like tough internet connection at her home. So it's like tough on both ends, just figuring out how we can make Zoom classes work that way. Some people also have like different work schedules, which are interfering with like synchronous classes. Um, and I think just people are worried about getting like, it feels like more work, and it might not be, but it feels like more work than it would be at school because we're doing it at home, and like different schedules and different routines. I think people are feeling the heaviness of all the online assignments, because I think
Absolutely.
it takes longer, I think, to finish assignments that are online, and a lot of them are turned to written assignments, and that gives different issues to different people. Overall, I have a lot of happy and healthy friends, which is great,
That's
um,
great.
which is like the most important thing. But definitely, like there are challenges at everyone's house right now. I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's even the little things that you lose, or the little things that you take for granted, right? I mean, even if we make the assumption that the workload is the same, even little things of just popping in before class or after class, on your way out of class. Oh, hey, when was that assignment due? Check, got it, right? All these little conversations that you might not think to send an email about, or might not think to bring up in the Zoom. These are things that get resolved very easily face to face, but can really make it feel more cumbersome when we're distant.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that you obviously, being an RA and being part of the LTC, if you could just explain to people that aren't familiar with this, because again, some of my students will watch this and some of my students have participated in that. What is LTC, and what are the challenges you're
Right.
facing with a really important group like that now that we're distant?
Right. So I have been blessed with an amazing, amazing e-board. They're all so incredible, so hardworking, and thankfully, like they're all able to meet over Zoom. So we're meeting once a week still, because usually in the spring we pick the site that we go for the conference. Right, you asked what it is. So the Leadership Training Conference, it's a 4-day retreat where we do like a bunch of secret stuff that I can't tell you about.
Of course, totally
Um,
understood.
choose about 53 participants, and it's an anonymous application, some fun questions usually. And then if you're accepted, there are a few things we do before the conference together, and then you go away for the 4-day conference to our secret location. So right now we're looking for the location. We're looking for just like getting things ready for the fall. But right now, because we are distanced, like usually we would do site visits and visit like the different places we would go 1 or 2 weekends in April, and now we can't really do that. So we're trying to figure out how to make that work, and we will make it work. It's just a little bit tougher now.
Sure.
But again, like our advisor is just amazing. She's helping us through everything, and she's got a baby on the way. So she's like doing everything she can, even though it's really stressful time for her as well. So
Absolutely.
I'm just like really thankful to have a great group working so hard on it.
And what about your role on the student government? I mean, how does that look? I mean, I know all the time I spend in meetings, here on the faculty governance side of things. What does it look like on the student government side of things in this different environment?
Right. So we Zoom once a week on Wednesdays. That way, Annie, is our advisor, meets with different boards, I believe Tuesday and Thursday or something like that. And so she'll give us feedback from her end as administrator end. And then we give our like student feedback, and we kind of talk about how we can fix some of the issues that students are facing. So I wasn't able to attend this week just because the meeting was at 7 p.m. So I was eating dinner with my family. But I know like Mary Beth Cooper had a meeting on Monday, so they probably discussed like what happened in that meeting, and then how students were holding up, like what classes are going well, what classes aren't going so well, and try to bridge that communication between students and faculty.
That's great. I mean, if there was ever an important time for that trade of information like this is that time.
Absolutely. And like everybody gives really good feedback. Like Freddie is the president of SGA, and he's just been amazing, working really hard to make sure that we're all feeling safe and comfortable, and like making sure we have a voice in all this, so that like professors can better accommodate to our needs.
Absolutely. So speaking of which, right, I usually ask these questions in reverse order, but since you're on the student side of things, what if you had a message that you can give to either your faculty that are teaching you now, faculty at Springfield College, or just faculty just literally across the nation that are dealing with this exact same thing? What, from the student side, what message would you give to faculty?
I think just like be kind, be understanding that we're all going through it right now. Like everyone has a different situation, so having your class with rigid guidelines is probably not going to work. You need to be accommodating to the different needs of different students, different time zones, different internet access, things like that. And as long as like there's an open communication between students and the faculty, we can make that work. Because like I know like my professors have been really good. If someone's in a different time zone, they don't have to like be in the synchronous classes if it's like at 3 a.m, things like that. Just being accommodating, being kind. I know I have a number of professors who like just check in via email every so often, like, or like at the beginning of a Zoom class, they just go around and say like, how's everybody doing? Like any updates, everybody healthy, everybody okay? And that just goes a long way because we're missing that human contact. So it's really great when we get that emotional side from the faculty as well.
I agree completely. I mean, I can tell you too. I mean, I try to keep in mind, like I try to put myself in the shoes of like, what if I was, I mean, I'm dealing with it from the faculty side, but what if I was a student right now and all of a sudden I was in whatever year, freshman year, who cares, right? But I'm thrust now to go back. Most students are living back in their home, in your high school bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And for me, I carried myself a certain way on campus. I wanted to be an educated person.
Right.
And to go back to a 450 odd square foot home with very bad internet and not a lot of space to spread out, well, how would I be doing in this environment? So I'm trying to keep that picture in my mind while dealing with, like you said, everybody's got their own case,
Right. And I think that's a great way to look at it. And if every professor did that, I think it would be seamless. And it's like, for the most part, happening. We just got to bridge the gap between like some of the ones that are slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, and I think, I think that Chris Hackala, or you might have met him a few times. I had a conversation earlier with him today, and that will be posted as well. And one of the things that I was happy to find, which he's been finding as well, is that I was fearful that that this was going to, not just at Springfield College, but at other places. I was fearful that this whole movement, people would have been very afraid of it, or things, there would have been a lot of bumps in the road. But of course, everything is not perfect, but there's way more buy-in and way more energy in the positive than I would have anticipated. So I'm glad that I was wrong about that.
I think that's really great to hear too. Like, I think Springfield's really unique in that way where we band together no matter what. So that's great.
So flip side, your fellow students, whether they're students, maybe they were in your dorm as, while you're an RA, or just your friends, or people, that you in a leadership position on campus, if you can give them some message, what's the takeaway for them in this crazy time?
Definitely don't be afraid to reach out for help. Like Springfield, oh yeah, I wanted to say this earlier. I'm really proud of the way Springfield has been handling everything. Like, I know we're getting a bunch of emails and that can be tough just looking at that. It can be a little stressful, but our school has done well with giving us the refunds and getting us information out as soon as they have the information. And I don't see that with a lot of my friends at other schools.
Yes.
So I think that they've made it a lot easier for us, but as well as like the Academic Success Center still being available, our counseling center still being available, and them letting us know that right off the bat. I think like just don't be afraid to reach out for help, because we're Springfield College and like we are there to help each other. So don't be afraid to reach out to your peers, do group study sessions over Zoom if you need to, if that's helpful to you. Find a way to get that human connection again. And like, I know a lot of my professors have drop-in office hours over Zoom. Like, definitely take advantage of those as well. Like,
Yeah.
I had existentialism with Bob Gruber today, and it was great. Like, just getting that human connection again is great. Those conversations that we're missing out on.
Well, yeah, I think it is. Everybody that comes to Springfield College always talks about what a special place it is, and this is not marketing for me. This is something that I truly feel, and it's that environment that makes it such a special place. And so any way that we have to adjust to this as at least the normal for now, but any way that we can recreate that, even if it's not the same, that's what gives us our strength, right? And so we should try to lean on that or leverage that as best we possibly could.
Absolutely.
So last question I got for you, leave out the faculty side, leave out the student side, right? Uh, what's your big takeaway as a person that's about to start graduate school in this really kind of chaotic environment? What's your takeaway? Like, what's your view of this? Are you pessimistic? Are you optimistic? And then what message do you have for people, as they're trying to cope with getting through all this?
Well, my advisor told me some very wise words yesterday, actually, that I would love to share. She thinks that this is really going to teach us to be perseverant and adapt to change. And it's put it on your resume. I went through the coronavirus, so I know how to adapt to change. Like, we are doing really hard stuff that's unprecedented. We haven't had to deal with anything like this in our lives. Most people
Right.
have never experienced anything like this, right? So we're so much stronger than we think. We're so much more capable than we think of adapting to change. And I just think like that's something to be proud of. Like, you're doing it. We're doing it. We're getting it
Yeah.
done. We're all going to end up graduating. It might not be the way we want. I'm sorry, seniors.
I know. I feel for them.
I know. I hope we can still have some commencement ceremony. But yeah, we're doing it, and just be proud of that. The work we're doing is hard work, and we're doing it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you've heard me in class. I'm to a fault overly optimistic about a lot of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I see this as another interesting opportunity, right? That like the world doesn't stop, but not just the world doesn't stop. Humans don't stop, right? We can take some things that are very hard to manage, very hard to do, such as delivering, quality academia out of nowhere in this different modality. We're capable of this. Humans are capable of doing great things. And I think that we can come out of this, whether you're on the faculty side, student side, or just anybody else, right? That you can come out of this way better on the other side. And that's the piece that I'm hopefully looking forward to. And it sounds like you're saying the same thing.
Absolutely. Like, once we get back together, it's just going to be so much better once again. Yeah.
And two, to really not I mean, one thing that I've learned, this is funny, this is a true story, by the way, right? I told this to my wife that I never make New Year's resolutions. I never do, because I always feel as though they're like, I'm never going to keep them, right? Humans don't keep these things, right? So I always felt it as a waste of time. This year I did. I said, this year, I'm going to make a New Year's resolution that I'm going to try to live much more in the moment, in every moment, right? That really appreciate the little things like going grocery shopping and, you know,
Right.
tucking my kids in at night, or I try to just be in those moments and talk about a time where, if there was ever a time where I can try to live that message,
Yeah,
because now it's so much harder to go grocery shopping. It's so much harder to just have interactions with people. So I will never, ever take some of these things for granted ever again.
absolutely. I agree. Wow. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better.
Well, Katie, this has been really great. I hope that you share this with your friends, and I hope that some of them, find it helpful. I'm going to share it with my students, and if they don't already know you, I'm sure hopefully this will give them someone else that they can reach out to, as
Mhm.
someone who plays an important role on campus. But I really appreciate you taking the time, and again, if you ever need anything, you know where to come.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is great.
Thanks, Katie. Have a great day.
You too.